Welcome back, my bird experts. We have lots to cover today. A few days ago, maybe early part of last week or the end of the week before, you guys helped me write a paragraph. Our first informational paragraph. Up to this point, we've been writing one or two sentences telling about how we know birds use their body parts to survive. You guys helped me write this beautiful paragraph that we're going to go over later today. But I wanted to remind you what the parts of an informational paragraph are, because after we go over our paragraph that we wrote together, you guys are going to start to write your own informational paragraphs. And I would not ever just say, go and do your best. I have to show you what to do. So today we're here to go over it again to make sure that everybody understands. Let's get started. Our lovely graphic that we used showed us the parts of an informational paragraph and what it takes to write one of those. And we start with a topic sentence. That's the first sentence of your paragraph that tells what the paragraph will be about. In other words, it's also going to tell us the big idea of your piece of writing. Once we've figured out the big idea of our piece of writing, then we need to get some meat and some goodies in our burger or in our paragraph to support that big idea. What's our big idea? What have we been researching so far that we want to tell people about? Right, we want to let people know how birds use their beaks to survive. So, after we have our topic sentence or our focus statement, we're going to start with our first detail. It's one or two sentences that support our topic sentence. The detailed sentences help the reader understand the focus statement better. The first sentence describes a body part in our case. So we're talking about a beak. We're going to tell what that beak looks like. We're going to give some adjectives or some verbs to describe what that beak might do. And then the second sentence in that first detail tells us what that body part does. So now we're going to take a look at our paragraph so that you can see exactly what I mean. Once we get those details together, we're going to do a first detail and a second detail to support that topic sentence. In a longer paragraph, you may have a third detail or a fourth detail, but we're not doing that just yet. Then we're going to wrap it up with our conclusion or our closing sentence. The closing sentence looks a lot like the topic sentence, and it summarizes the paragraph. It wraps up the paragraph and it reminds the reader of that first topic sentence, of the big idea of your piece of writing. So now that we've seen this, let's actually look at it in action in our paragraph that we wrote together. So here's our paragraph, our shared writing on feathers. The first sentence, our topic sentence or focus statement, says, birds' feathers help them survive in many ways. That sounds like a good topic sentence to me. It's telling us what we want the reader to know, why we're writing this paragraph, and then we're going to give them some details to tell them how birds' feathers help them survive in many ways. So that's our focus statement. I've labeled it here with an F so that when we look back at it, we know what part of the paragraph this is. Then we have our first detail. And our first detail is written in orange. Each part is in a different color so that you can quickly identify it when you're looking at it on your own. The first one says, some birds have thick feathers. Okay, so just like here, it said the detailed sentences help the reader understand the focus statement, and our first sentence describes the body part. That first sentence says, some birds have thick feathers. That's the body part. That's the body part that we were talking about for this paragraph. We were talking about feathers. Now, we couldn't just leave it there because is that telling our reader how the feathers help them survive? No. It's doing a great job at describing those feathers, but it's not saying how the bird uses it to survive. I could have thick feathers, it doesn't tell me how I'm using those. So the next part of our detailed sentences tells us how that bird is using them. It says, these feathers protect them like sunscreen. So we use that first detail to say some birds have thick feathers, and those feathers protect them like sunscreen. That's one way the bird uses feathers to help them survive. So we're supporting our focus statement. We're supporting and giving our reader a reason to explain how birds use their feathers. Let's move on to that second detail. Now, your second detail is going to be different than your first. We're not going to talk about feathers protecting them like sunscreen again because our reader already knows that. Now, let's see what our second detail sentence says. Other birds have colored feathers that match their habitat. Wow, birds have feathers that match their habitat. That's a great thing to know. But is it quite telling us how the feathers help them survive? Not yet. It is starting off that sentence by describing the body part. So it's describing those feathers that are colored and that match their habitat. It did a good job of that. Let's see how it finishes up. It says, these feathers help the bird to hide. Oh, so the brightly colored feathers that match their habitat help the bird to hide. That's good to know because that's telling me how the bird is using those bright feathers to help them survive. So it is supporting that focus statement again, but in a different way than what we have here in orange. And I've marked that with a 2 so we know that that is our detailed sentences number 2. And then we're going to get to our conclusion. It says, feathers protect birds from the sun, the cold, and predators. It explained how birds are using their feathers to survive, but it took pieces of each detail. So the first detail was saying that it uses it to protect them from the sun, and the second to protect them, to help them hide from predators. So we put all of that in our final conclusion sentence, but it reminded our reader of how birds' feathers help them survive in many ways. It wrapped it all up, and it gave you again the main idea or the big idea of our point of writing this piece. We've informed the reader of how birds use their feathers in many ways. We did a great job writing this. Now, starting tomorrow, you are going to work on your own writing piece. But it's not going to be about feathers anymore. It's going to be about how birds use their beaks to survive. We've done some great work. We've learned lots of different verbs and adjectives that you can put in your writing to describe those beaks. And I know you guys are going to do great. Starting tomorrow, we will work piece by piece. So we're going to start on our focus statement tomorrow and maybe have time to move into our first detailed sentence. I cannot wait to see what you guys do. Your only work for today is to complete the drawing of a heron's bill. You're going to see in your slides that there's a picture of a heron without a bill. I want you to add the bill on. And remember, this is an observational drawing. And observational drawings need to be detailed because it's going to help us remember what that beak looks like, what that beak does. You're also going to have to write a sentence about the purpose of the beak and how that bird uses its beak. I know you guys are going to do good, and I'll post the pictures that you need to refer back to the pictures of the heron in your slides. I can't wait to see what you do, and I can't wait to see you for our science talk this morning at 11 o'clock. Let's have a great day. I'll see you soon.